Ciao friends, if you're new, welcome to my channel, and if you are a subscriber, welcome back. I'm so happy to have you here. Don't forget to subscribe if you aren't already so you don't miss any of my future videos. And today I wanted to share with you guys my top tips for mastering a language. As you know, I do live in Rome, Italy. I am American, but I am quite fluent in Italian, and Italian is my fourth language, but it's really the second language that I speak fluently. I speak English fluently, it's my mother tongue, Italian fluently, Spanish is intermediate, and French is very basic, but I used to speak French and Spanish quite fluently and then I lost it. So that's another topic that I want to discuss about as well. I'm super passionate about languages, and in order to learn a language or to master a language, you have to be super passionate and want to learn that language, because it's true when you are older and your brain's developed, it's quite difficult to learn a new language and to train your brain that way. So these are going to be my 5 main tips for you to master language or to learn a new language if you want to learn a new language. So tip number 1 is start with a class. I know it's so simple. Maybe you already have taken classes in school.
Nice to see you again, Maria.
Hello, Mrs. Lafferty.
Oh, welcome. What is your name?
I'm Joey.
Joey, you have a wonderful accent.
Start with an intensive class because once a week or once every month is not going to do anything for you. I recommend taking a couple times a week for a couple hours at a time. That way you really train your brain and you really have the week practice. And if you can't do classes, then maybe speak with someone via Skype, or try in your community to find like a language meetup group where you can meet up a couple times a week for maybe lunch and only speak in that language. It helps a lot, and that is, I think, step 1 to learning or maintaining the language that you've already started to learn. Tip number 2 is watch TV shows, films, and read books in that language. I know it may seem a little daunting at first, but my biggest tip here is to choose a TV show or a movie that you have seen many times. Like, for example, when I first moved to Italy, I started watching Friends and Sex and the City in Italian. And I've watched every single season, every single episode of those TV shows in English countless times. So for me, I already knew what they were saying in English, so seeing it in Italian really helped me. Also, don't be embarrassed. Watch a cartoon, watch a child's movie, a Disney movie. I love to watch children's movies in a second language because it's more, the language and the context is a lot more simple to understand than an actual like adult film. Most of us all have Netflix now. Usually Netflix, depends I guess on what country you're in, but will give you the option to listen to the language, have an audio in a different language, or at least if you don't have that option, maybe subtitles in the language that you're trying to learn or maintain. I found that this has helped me loads, and now I can finally watch like an Italian movie without subtitles and understanding everything. So it really helps. Number 3, language apps. So I love language apps, and now that we have our phones with us all the time, if we're in the waiting room somewhere, or if we're catching a plane and we're in the gate, wherever you have time to check Instagram, Facebook, your emails, you may have at least 10 minutes to go on a language app to kind of refresh and practice and maybe do some exercises. My personal favorite language app on the go is Duolingo. I find that it's super interactive and fun and quite easy to understand. Another good one is Babel, and those are the language apps that I've personally used. Then you have ones like Tandem, Memrise, which is kind kind of like expanding your vocabulary, and one called Busuu, which offers many different language packages in that app. And also Rosetta Stone. I'm going old school, and the Rosetta Stone CDs are super helpful. I one summer learned basics of Russian through Rosetta Stone. So no, I can't speak it anymore. Меня зовут Sofia, that's pretty much all I remember. Don't knock it until you try it. It really helps if you have a little more time at home to dedicate to learning the language. Number 4, talking to children in the language that you want to learn or master. So for example, if you're going to France, try to surround yourself or meet French kids. And the reason that I really think this to be helpful is because kids, they don't care how you speak. They're going to correct you off the bat and really help. Their vocabulary is quite simple. I mean, I find like usually kids under the age of like 10 are really fun to speak with because their vocabulary is simple, maybe basic like yours, and you can teach each other. And this has been a huge help on my Italian experience, having nieces and nephews who don't speak English and will correct me, or if I say a masculine word when it's really supposed to be feminine, they correct you, but in a way that's innocent, and it really helps you. And also them having a very simple basic vocabulary and grammar structure will be easy to communicate with them, and you may feel less intimidated of messing up or creating errors while you're speaking, because kids are beautiful and they will tell you like it is, but in a way that isn't condescending. I think that that's a huge tip. I don't know if you've ever heard it before, but and it may be strange, but I really think that has helped me in my Italian experience. So track down kids that speak the language that you are wanting to learn, because I promise it will help a lot. And last but not least, number 5, I know this one you've heard, is to immerse yourself. So if you have the luxury of spending 1 month to 6 months to a year in the country that speaks the language that you are wanting to learn or master, that is the only way to really, really learn the language. All of these things that I mentioned help. They help form vocabulary, they help you read, they help you write, but they don't help in conversation and everyday life and slangs. So I really recommend, if you are going through a program, do not go stay in an apartment or in a dormitory with someone from your own country that speaks your own language, because you will resort to falling back and speaking your mother tongue. And the only way to really master the language is to get out of your comfort zone and only speak that language, whether it's with a host family or whether you are in an apartment but by yourself and you are going to classes or doing, meeting up with locals for a coffee. The way the immersion your brain will soak up, your brain will be fully immersed in not only the language but the culture and your surrounding areas, and all of those play as a factor to helping you master that language. For example, I spent several months with someone who doesn't even speak one word of English. When I first came here, my vocabulary was pretty basic. I could carry on a conversation, but my vocabulary was very basic. So if I was wanting to explain a specific word, like for example, remote, and I didn't know what the word, how to say the word remote in Italian, I would be like, that thing that with the buttons that you use to change the TV stations. And then the local will say, oh yes, and then tell you what the word is. So you have to use all the vocabulary that's already in your brain to expand and creating and to find a way to describe something that you don't know. And this has been the only way that I have completely become fluent in Italian. I I studied Italian 4 years in university. I grew up hearing it a little bit, but I would never have been able to be fluent or speak Italian the way I speak it now if I did not move to Italy. And I'm not saying you have to move to the country forever, but I do think being immersed even 3 weeks, 1 month, maybe take a sabbatical. I've met tons of people who have taken sabbaticals here to learn a language, and it's pretty amazing to see the results. If you really want to master a language, you have to disconnect yourself from people who speak your mother tongue, because it's really easy to resort back on that and to feel more comfortable speaking that if you don't know how to say something. But I promise you, the only way to learn and master a language is to find other ways in that language to describe or to create the word that you are looking for. So those are my top 5 tips for mastering any language or learning a new language. I hope you found some of these tips helpful, and even if you have heard some of these tips, I hope that at least one was new to you. And if you have used any of these tips, I would love to hear your comments down below. Would love to hear if they've helped you, if you're still struggling. And if you have any other tips to share with us here, then definitely comment down below. Thanks so much for stopping by. If you aren't subscribed already, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Give this video a thumbs up if you like these kind of videos. And until next time, ciao!